Warcraft is a wide, expansive, and ultimately fucking faggy canon of dozens of different characters and stories, an entire universe of Tolkien and Warhammer ripoffs. It stands as a shining beacon among the forefront of the dumbfuck geek culture of today. There are many major characters within the sweaty, putrid bosom of Warcraft's extended universe, and today I want to waste your useless time on this planet by giving a short discussion on one of the lesser spoken about of these major characters. Who else but Orgrim Doomhammer, of course? Why Doomhammer, you might ask? Well, in the universe of Warcraft, there are many characters. These characters happen to be good and bad. And that's about it. There are very few characters that fall between a black and white good or evil spectrum. Your characters are either fully pure and lawful good with nothing but honorable intentions, or they're Saturday morning cartoon villains pretending they're Song of Ice and Fire. This isn't necessarily a bad thing. Warcraft lore is a little more simple. It's just meant to be that way. Like it or hate it, it is what it is. But now, Doomhammer? Fucking Doomhammer? What's this I see when I look at him? What is this strange hue? This color? Not quite black? Not quite white? Something in between. Something gray? Morally gray? A morally gray character in Warcraft? Surely this must be some mistake, officer. Well, it's true. Orgrim Dick Slapper is quite morally gray. It's a testament to his grayness that Zit-covered fans of the series often whine and argue amongst one another as to whether or not he's a good or bad character, and that's basically the fucking morally gray seal of approval right there. So, which is it? Is Orgrim bad or is he good? In honor of Doomhammer being one of the major characters in the upcoming Romeo and Juliet sequel, let's go where no man with a life has gone before and figure it out for ourselves. First, let's cover a little bit about Doomhammer. Orgrim is... Actually, fucking no. If you don't know who Doomhammer is, then you shouldn't be the kind of person watching this video right now. Fuck out of here, man. Go on. Go do something productive and valuable with your time, you fucking tosspot cunt. Okay, is that guy gone? Okay, good. Moving on. The majority of Doomhammer's story takes place in pre-WoW lore, which is, more or less speaking, generally a little bit better constructed than the WoW lore. WoW just suffers from being an MMO, which really stifles a lot of its story-building possibilities, and the pre-WoW lore just got to be a little more concise and flowing on a general story narrative. With that said, let's take a look at Doomhammer's good and bad qualities. Bad. He's a evil orc who leads his band of merry cunts on a killing spree across the lands of Narnia. What a dick. He kills and condones the killing of thousands upon thousands of innocent men, women, and children. His entire goal is to basically scour all other life off from Azeroth so the orcs can live on the shitty farmlands and stuff. He condones and supports Gul'dan creating the original Death Knights. Doomhammer is featured heavily in the Warcraft novel Tides of Darkness, which details the orcs' original invasion of Azeroth and the events of the First War. It is here that we get to see some of his less than nice guy qualities. He makes several monologues and speeches about how the orcs will crush and destroy everything in their path and make their lands the orcs' new home. Often brought up when people decry Doomhammer as a massive dick is the following passage from Tides of Darkness, Chapter 2, page 33. Orgrim Doomhammer, chieftain of the Blackrock clan and war chief of the Horde, surveyed the scene. He stood near the center of Stormwind as his warriors destroyed the once great city around him. Everywhere he turned, there was destruction and devastation. Buildings burned despite being made of stone. How poetic. Bodies and rubble littered the street. Blood flowed across the flagstones, pooling here and there. Screams indicated that survivors had been found and were being tortured. Doomhammer nodded. It was good. Later in that very same chapter, Orgrim drinks a goblet of wine that human blood had been spilt in and found it tasted sweeter with the human juice in it. Pretty evil, right? Well, let's review his good qualities. Good. Orgrim is very honorable. It's his honor that serves as a massive point of self-conflict even. He's the only doing what he's doing because the orcs need a new planet and need an enemy to fight. He puts his everything into keeping his people alive. As I mentioned before, Orgrim condones and finds the torture of survivors after the sack of Stormwind to be a good thing, but don't take this as him being exactly joyful at what's going on. To understand Orgrim, you really have to think like Orgrim. He isn't just a hardened warrior forging his people to a future of survival, but it's also a fucking fantasy orc guy. If it were all the same to Orgrim, he wouldn't be invading Azeroth at all. He doesn't enjoy, per se, what the orcs are doing. But to Orgrim, it just has to be done and there's no way for it. He'll take a grim warrior's pleasure in the fighting, if only because he must, but it's all only happening because circumstances outside of Doomhammer's control or understanding have caused the orcs to have to flee from their dying homeworld and seek out a new planet instead. For Orgrim, it's just an unfortunate us or them situation, and he has no real power in it. That's what makes Orgrim a compelling character, as well as the entire First War storyline stronger as a whole. Orgrim is fighting a war that could be solved if orc and human could just, perhaps, negotiate with one another, but it's gone too far beyond that, and Orgrim can really only do the only thing in his power at that point, that is, keeping his people alive. For all the times Orgrim goes on about how the orcs are going to smash and bash all the nasty humans, he also makes it clear that the orcs are only fighting to gain enough land for themselves to live on, and that their war will stop then and there. He even strikes a political deal with the human king Pernolde, which I'll talk more about in another video maybe, granting the orcs safe passage through the mountains of Alterac. So, he's not anywhere near the level of crazy, bloodthirsty barbarian Lich King who just wants to crush and destroy. Orgrim is a man, orc rather, who does what must be done. If it must be, then it must be. He isn't haunted by it, but it's not because he's some kind of retarded sociopath or something. He's simply a warrior who lives by a rigid, no-regrets code. He slays his chieftain Blackhand once he realizes that Blackhand is corrupt and leading the Horde with his own selfish intentions. Even then, it's a moral confliction for Orgrim, who breaks all of his vows as Blackhand's second-in-command in order to dispose of the naughty war chief. Orgrim knows the orcs are consumed by a bloodlust and need an enemy to fight. He'd just as sooner not have them go through any of this, but it is what it is. He knows he can't exactly tell every warrior not to torture survivors, both from a practical sense and because he has to keep morale high. It's nasty and grisly, but it must be done. Obviously, you could look at all of this and still come to a conclusion that he's more evil than good, and that's really the point. He's honestly a pretty well-written character, even by conventional standards. Most people will feel conflicted themselves over him as they read through his story and will have to make self-moral decisions to decide how they feel about Orgrim. Jeez, it's almost like the guy has an iota of fucking depth to his character. Where did that come from, Blizzard? So, what does your ass think? Is Orgrim good? Is he bad? Is this video fucking stupid? Bitch about it in the comments section, and don't forget to like and subscribe, you tool. What do you think about our first glance as a movie Orgrim, by the way? Think they'll maintain a complex and morally in-between Orgrim? Or will he suffer the same morally black and white fate that so many others have? Bitch about that in the comments too, fight about it. Fight about it and make flame war. Come back to the video, give it more views, just be racist. Be racist in the comment sections, spread hatred, just do that. You do that, donate to my Patreon, and, I don't know, ugh.